Good morning.
Yeah, good
People
morning.
streaming in, all those efficient people who've been waiting. Thank you, guys.
Hopefully well prepared with coffee in hand.
Yeah, I am. Well, yeah, hopefully the others are more more aligned with you.
Part of the routine these days.
Yeah, it has to be. But getting warmer now. Hey, Arman, you guys are a lot warmer.
Oh, I can't complain. 17 degrees and it'll get up to 23. So this week is good. Next week changes, but this week is nice, so we can enjoy
Summer
it a bit.
days.
Exactly.
Good.
All right, let me try to start the slideshow. There you go. Good.
Cool.
I think we can probably get started. There are quite a
Yeah.
few attendees which are joining and already in, so that's perfect. Wonderful. Then, yeah. Hello, everyone. How's it? Thanks for joining us today on today's Bits and Bolts. This is your bi-monthly tech coffee break. The idea being in under half an hour, give or take, Stuart and myself will be going through and talking about some of the, let's say, newer released features or functions that we are seeing used more and more, or just want to bring some awareness to. As I mentioned, Stuart Clark is the territory manager for the Africa regions. Myself, Arman Sami, I look after the DACH and the Netherlands territory for 42 Gears. Our email information is up here. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions, comments, concerns, even if you're not in any of the territories which have been mentioned here. Reach out, say hi, and if you need any help with something, we'll connect you to the right people. But with that, we're just going to dive right into the topics for today. I will be talking about tags, filters, some tips and tricks about how to use them efficiently, how I've seen some people use it, and some things that I would recommend that you look into because it could be making the, let's say, use or the flow of MDM a little bit easier. I'll give you some examples here in a moment. And then the second, Stuart, afterwards, we'll talk about SureMDM, some changes that which have happened to the Windows platform, as I did iOS last 2 weeks ago, just some basic stuff there. We wanted to take the feedback that we received end of last year and start to sprinkle in some other operating systems, not mainly just Android. With that, before we dive into the technical topics, please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat or the question section. I already see that somebody said, welcome back, Stuart. So there you go. But please, say hi. Got any questions? You want to see something or go deeper into a topic, just throw it in chat. If we have time, we will answer it. With that, let me dive into my SureMDM console. Again, this is a very interesting topic for me because I feel like as groups is primarily the default layout and organization that people are using. It's also the one that you see as you log into the MDM console. It becomes pretty standard common practice to spend a majority of your time configuring and organizing this layout in whatever reason or whatever format that you find makes most sense to you. But there are other situations where it makes, let's say, sense to be organizing your devices like this, but how you are applying profiles or different, even let's say simple things like a plugin or enterprise agent, which is specific to a particular model or type of device in a ulterior motive than this. I'll give you this example here. For these Zebra devices, I have multiple different versions and model numbers. And theoretically, there is only one plugin for Zebra altogether, as most of these vendors these days, but there are some which have different plugins and different agents for each version. Or maybe you have a specific app which is configured one way over another. You could be creating these folders like how I have here and been adding different subfolders. But there are, or let's say the majority of the use cases that we see, especially if you're mixing in your Active Directory and you're using your organization units as the structure here, that you might be having something like offices or locations, and in these you just have a mix of different types of devices, and it's not, let's say, specific or broken down by operating system, device, manufacturer, version, etc. And this is a great way that you can start to mix in some of the, let's say, additional deeper configurations or deeper specific nuances to the management with tags and filters. I will quickly just start with filters here, where I have created a few basic filters just to give you some examples. But essentially, filters are very straightforward. You can create, let's say I come over here to make a new one, and I want to come in here and say, show me all of my secured devices, show me all of my online devices, and it will quickly filter for me and give me whatever information I want to see here. So if I come over here as well, I want to, and it gives me some examples, I want to see all online devices with a version of Astro Contacts over 3. And again, I can make this as complicated or as simple as I want. I can also come up here to the columns and change what columns are available. If it's a column here, even if it's a custom column or custom property, all of these different attributes can be filtered. And what's important is when you have done this or created this filter, especially if it's a filter you're coming to often, there's a few things you can do to save this and either come back to it right away or have it even emailed and updated to you in real time. So one of the things you can do is if you come over here and click on the more, the 3 dots here to the left of this section, you'll see that of course you have export where you can export this filter to CSV, but you can also save this as a report from this screen as well. And I personally find this much more, I'll call it user-friendly than the current reports mechanism for custom reports. So this function that I'm about to show you is only on the premium and enterprise version of SureMDM licensing. But just to give you an idea, we're going to say online plus Astro Contacts V3 Plus. I will just take the same and put it into the description, but I'm going to hit save. And then we get this quick banner, custom report was saved. If I come here to reports, scroll all the way down, I will see that here at the bottom, I will have this online plus Astro Contacts V3. I can, of course, then create different, let's say I only care about one folder or one area. I can then make this request and the report will be made. I'll be able to see it in my viewed reports. Of course, I can also schedule it. And the benefit of having a schedule, of course, is that I can have it automatically emailed to somebody as well. So it's not necessarily something that I need to come into the MDM system to review. I can have this shared automatically, daily, weekly, monthly, again, with the different filters and organization. And if I wanted to see it or make some changes to it, I can come down here to custom reports and I see it down here. And as the report type, you'll notice that it's actually different than the typical reports. If you just create new reports in reports, this is where you see it. But if I come here, I see the device grid based on reports. I can click on modify and only change these 2 parameters. So just keep that in mind. I can only change the name and the description. If I wanted to update the report, I would have to come back to home and then make the change here and then save it as a new report. Just keep that in mind. Editing happens here in filters. And again, I can save it, come here and create a new filter that I can always come back to. I've also found that I use this quite often. If I want to come and see pending for all the devices, I can come here. If I want to see things like, I want to see all of the different versions of my TC devices, I can just come in and start as give the example. I don't have to write the entire model number or the entire serial number. I can just put in the first handful of letters and it will filter for me anything that fits this criteria. So with this filter, I've now seen all of the different versions of TC devices which I have in my console. Now, why is this important? Because if I come over here to tags, I will have all of these different tags, which are in some cases custom and in some cases pre-made for me. For instance, and I'm sure you might have already recognized this yourselves, the Android, iOS, Linux, Mac OS, these different tabs, the major operating systems, I did not create and assign a device to. As a device gets enrolled into the MDM, it's automatically associated usually with the operating system and then the model number and platform. So we get these two tags which are automatically assigned. It's the same if it's a IoT device like this brother printer. I think this one here, I'm not even sure exactly what this, oh, sorry, it's just a Windows computer, but exactly Linux and so forth. Some of these are auto tagged. But if I was interested to see, or let's say give a property or attribute to all of my TC devices, I would have to see them, click through these and see them one by one. But with this filter, I'm able to see all of them in one view. Of course, the example works for any other version or parameter as well, but just a quick little like organization thing here. And as you would have already noticed, we have different coloring, which is identical to the groups where we have some which are this greenish color and then dark blue. As you use tags, any place where, for instance, here, where I have a property assigned to it. Here, for instance, I have a agent, a OEM agent that's installed, and then I have a script to push different parameters. In this case, I'm granting some permissions. This is here. I can, again, delete, add more, move the order, because the order that this will be processed is from top down. So I want, of course, the agent installed first before I grant the permissions, hence like this. And if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll also see I have some different stuff here. This is for firmware management of a few devices. So where I have had in the past firmware management attached, you will then automatically also get these different versions here, and you can click down and see the devices which are in this subsection, but then also manage firmware. That's what this other logo here looks like. But these tags are either tags that you have created or tags which are, again, auto-assigned. And the benefit here, as I mentioned earlier, is you're able to better merge, mix and match groups and tags. So again, I'll give you this example here. I have here, let's come here to my office. I have one Android device. So this device here is device name. I'll just take that quickly just to give you the example. But it's actually, I think it's a dummy device, but just to kind of show you some details about it here. We have it enrolled into the Office Hetlinga folder. It theoretically could be in any other folder, and I did not make a OEM subsection folder for this device. So it's only located in the Office. But what I can then do is come here, either on the basis of Android, or come down and find the subsection of it, assign a group property to this folder. So this way I can have it organized in groups, but I have different things assigned to it and happen to it based on the tags which are assigned. And I'll give you just another kind of basic example here. Let's say I want to make a new tag, and I'm just going to call this, phase 1 testing. I can, of course, save that as a new tag. I'll have it here. As you can see, of course, nothing is assigned to this folder yet, but I can, of course, control click, or command control click and take more devices or less. But of course, depending on the operating system you have, but you can then right click and come down to tags. Here I can then assign tags. So I can say, for instance, I want to add this S21 Samsung device to my phase 1 testing, hit save. I also, by the way, had the option here to, as I'm assigning a new tag, to create a new tag. But I also have the option to come here and remove tags. So these are the ones which have been assigned to it. I can even remove the pre-attached tags like Android and the model number. And once that tag is, or that device is tagged, of course, I'll be able to find it here, and I can add different properties, like say I want to assign here the let's phase 1 apps which are going to be installed or tested, or logs that are going to be run. So just different ways for you to organize it. And what's very interesting here with the properties, automates different things which are happening. As the example I mentioned earlier, new device gets enrolled. I then want to automatically push a profile or some settings. Maybe I've used a profile that has a very specific OEM config, and I want that to only go to one type of device. Tags is a good way to do that. But I do not have here the ability to do, let's say, all of the different versions of these TC devices. And this is where, again, filters, just to tie it all back together, is quite interesting, because here I can then see, okay, these are all of the same filters I have. Or if I'm interested in making a particular profile, or let's say a particular filter or a tag for all devices which have a specific hash code. Hash code, for those of you which don't know, are how we map plugins to devices. I can also make a filter here that has all the hash codes. And what you do not see yet, but for the listeners in this and those who attend Bits and Bolts, I think this is quite interesting. We do have a beta version, which we are opening up account to account specific. So if you are interested in testing this or some other, let's say, soon to be fully released features and functions, you can get in contact with Stuart and myself, and we can get you into this program and open it up for an account. But you will also soon have these group properties or tag properties for filters. So it'll be the new icon somewhere here. And with that, you will then be able to add properties to filters. And again, this way, it's a little bit more dynamic, because if you had a tag which was auto-generated, just the model number of the device, just the operating system, perfect. But if you wanted to make more specific or more detailed connections to properties, whatever they may be, and devices, you can soon use filters to do it. So get in contact with Stuart and myself to get access to this. We'll make it live for your account and you can test it. I do believe in the next month or so it's going to be live for everyone anyway, but if you'd like to test it or see it yourself first, let us know, and we'll be happy to turn this on for you. With that, I don't see any questions, but if any do come to mind, please just let me know. But I do see a lot of benefits, and I slowly see more and more tags and filters being used. However, I know that in most of at least my partners or my communications that I have, especially in demoing to new clients, we only really talk about groups. But there's a lot of additional benefit we can take away from tags and filters. With that, you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will hand over to you, Stuart, for the Windows piece.
Perfect. Thank you. I learned a little bit too. I've played with filters, but not to that extent. So it's yeah, it was really interesting. Thank you. Let me take control quickly. Got it. All right, super. So I guess just a quick look at the slide that Arman had shared in the beginning. From my perspective, and I hope for some of you perhaps the same idea as me is the concept of thinking a little bit outside of Android, as we have largely done, and I think again, considering just the region that I'm responsible for, Windows is probably the next best or the next largest in terms of the deployments, and so I hope for those of you that are connected from my region, but also from other regions, this may trigger some thoughts and some ideas about how to go and upsell those customers that perhaps were historically using some of the other supported operating systems. So let's have a quick look. As Arman said in the beginning, we've had about 6 weeks ago a significantly revamped Windows agent. In fact, for those of you who are very good and efficient at reading our blogs that are released, you may have noticed at the end of Feb a really great update that I'm going to scroll through quite quickly that covers the large majority of what's been changed in these newer SureMDM agent for Windows. It's version 6 and upwards. And perhaps while I'm here, and obviously I'll show you some of these as we're going through it, some of the key points that have been changed, aside from the look. A major change to the way that the device enrollment takes place on Windows devices. As you will see in this short sort of header that I'm hovering over at the moment, a number of steps that were originally in place have been reduced, and this is really to make it a streamlined enrollment, as I guess we're more familiar with on some of the mobile operating systems. Another major change, or two of those, is File Store and App Store, as again you would be familiar with in the likes of our Android devices, were always historically sitting as separate applications. And as a separate application, we can use File Store as an example. If you didn't have admin access or access to that particular application or to the folders that were being shared, this could have been complex for you or for the IT team in order to be able to get the full benefit of it. And so File Store and App Store are now included within the actual SureMDM agent environment. And obviously the dependency on having those admin rights are reduced or removed. And so in the playing and the testing that I've done with some of our partners, that's a significant difference and a whole lot easier. Some changes to Mailbox, and I'm going to show you that. You would see almost an email-based looking screen, the ability to be able to create an email and send it obviously to your SureMDM administrator, and to be able to continue the bi-directional communication that would take place. Again, as most of us are familiar with in some of the let's call them more common operating systems that we are using. And then as you would see, and I'm just going to scroll through, I'm not going to cover any of these today, but a significant number of changes related to what we display and the way that we make it available, specifically from an admin perspective. And so please, if you haven't, and I'm sure we can link it to this video, the blog is there. It covers everything in detail. But let's have a quick look within the console, and I have a Windows device that's available and online. You would notice a couple of changes specifically in Windows or in the Windows OS selector, both under Profiles and Jobs. For the purposes of today, I'm not going to touch on profiles, but I think that it's important for, if you are interested, to have a look. Specifically right at the bottom of this list, custom ADMX functions, as well as, and I think, and I've already had a number of our partners asking about this, the ability to be able to do browser management. So on Edge, on Chrome, and on Mozilla, on Firefox, the ability to go and use configuration setups or tools that are available within the browser environment. And I'm sure we can cover this in a different section or in a different bits and bobs episode. I'm going to focus today on jobs, and again, marked as new within our jobs function, you would notice that we now have the ability to be able to configure SureMDM agent settings, and those, as the administrator of the deployment on Windows devices, would be where it really gives you the ability to be able to go and make those changes that historically were done if you needed to build a custom agent or an MSR file that we did within our custom agent build function. So very, very simple checkbox and kind of drop-down driven. You would see all of those that are quite often the functions that are necessary. Device update and period of time that can be scheduled to do. The ability to add the password in order to be able to modify or lock modifications to the agent, and an installation if we needed to. And then a couple of checkboxes. And as I mentioned, for example, File Store. Do you actually want to make File Store available to your particular user in this case? Do you want to be able to allow them to do specific things like mailbox, the two-way communication that I touched on, the ability to see their user info, or perhaps even the settings? And one of the most common that I've ever been asked, and I hope it's in other regions as well, is how do we control the unattended remote support on Windows devices? Can we firstly allow it without any user input? Secondly, can we hide the notification perhaps in certain environments? And so you will see a really detailed or a function-filled drop-down that allows you to control the way that on this particular job, so therefore using the concept of what Arman shared a little bit earlier around the tags, potentially tagging or deploying this job to a certain group or tagged group of devices for perhaps a certain level or type of user in your environment. And then, which I don't recall seeing in the past, was the ability to be able to silently connect on Windows, and even the option to be able to display the notification, but perhaps remove it after a short period of time. So in this case, 5 seconds. There are also options, and I'm going to show you these on the actual client shortly, but the ability to allow your users access to the agent in order to be able to troubleshoot. The ability to be able to make a call or directly contact somebody from a help desk. And we now have the ability to be able to add contact details specifically for your IT team. the ability to be able to add in perhaps some headings, so a phone number. I'm going to add some random detail in here for now. Second. And obviously the ability to be able to set up those contact details. It appears I have. Give me a second. I'm going to start this again. But those contact details in order to be able to make changes and specifically direct your users, again, based on perhaps the country that they connected to or needing support from, and customizing that particular IT support or go-to contact details, as well as you would have seen a point as it refreshes mentioning tiles. And I have the ability to add multiple tiles, which are multiple drop-downs with additional information. So again, using the concept perhaps of multiple countries being identified or shown for support that may be available. Let me scroll down quickly back to where I was. I'm going to add the IT team. Let me add some details over here. Running a little slower than normal, and obviously, as you can see, the ability to populate, like I said, phone numbers, emails, websites, and here is what I mentioned about the customized tile. In this case, I'm going to just call this tile 1 so that you are able to see the text and where it would be located within the agent. And as I said, the ability to be able to add multiple tiles as I potentially want to add those extra layers within the troubleshooting menu. A reminder again, this is only available on our latest agent versions. I see this particular function on 6.04. We are on 6.06 at the moment. So anybody using Windows, it's well worth making sure that you push down an update of that SureMDM agent. Remember, we've got the job. It's done. It's easy, and you can make use of it straight away. I'm going to enable the file store in this job for the moment and quickly give it a save so that I can deploy it to my device and then connect on remote for you to be able to see the changes that I've made. Perhaps just a quick one while I'm here, and I mentioned it as well. Remember that updating this agent has been made as simple as we could possibly make for you, other than giving it a job name and applying this agent update on your Windows devices. Specifically will get you to that latest 6.06 as it is today. So let me jump to my device, and in the meantime, while I'm doing this, I'm going to push the job that I've just created, the SureMDM agent settings job, to my device, and then I'm going to select the device and obviously connect via our remote support function, and we'll be able to see the agent that I have available and open on that device as it stands right now. Again, a reminder that this agent, historically, for those that you had used it, was really just running in the background. It was, I guess, a function that had to be there in order to allow us to be able to work on the device. Now, we would expect that you would see this as a tool and would allow your users to be able to use this particular SureMDM agent in order to be able to make those changes, access what they need, and also contact you in the case that it's necessary. And so you would have seen I had selected, obviously, within the drop-down menu, the agent job, that I had enabled the App Store and the File Store. Again, now, directly within this environment, I'm able to force the sync of the file store data available within my console, as opposed to having to use admin privileges or rights on a completely separate application. As you would have been familiar with, the ability to upload and download files as we have in our file store function. The App Store, I haven't unfortunately loaded any applications within my Windows profile configuration, but I know previously, I think it was a couple of weeks back, I might have touched on the changes that we've made to the App Store and the ability to be able to use our SureMDM App Store to distribute your own applications to users that potentially are expected to be able to use those. Mailbox, as I said, definitely a more familiar look and feel, something that makes you, I guess, feel like you're composing an email as opposed to a very short text message, and the ability to be able to send those directly to our SureMDM console or the administrator who is potentially monitoring that mailbox. And then, as I said in the troubleshooting section, the ability to be able to control these tiles. I could have chosen to allow the user to be able to import and export some settings. In this case, as you saw, I had enabled the contact function, and I had chosen specifically to be able to put in some details. I hadn't gone and populated the website, the email, the telephone number, and the like. But as I hope you can see, there is the option to be able to build this. And as I said, multiple tiles below that. So in this case, I'd used the example just of tile number 1. But again, the concept of sort of multi-country is about one of those, or it was one of those that I could think of that would probably be most common in the list of being able to populate these details for the user who's going to be able to do it. One last thing that I wanted to show you, and this is new, it's been added as part of this latest version, is the ability to request remote support directly from within the agent. And you will see that if I have clicked on this request remote support, the administrator of my SureMDM console, and mine is loaded with a number of unread messages, but what you will see at the top of my list, and let me quickly refresh this, is a request from the particular desktop that I've been using, and I have requested that there is a remote support that is required on this device. And again, the ability obviously to be able to go and filter that specific username or device name and connect to the remote support session as we have them within this environment. So quick sort of wrap up for those of you who haven't used or have perhaps not regularly used the Windows agent on any of your customer sites. It's well worth giving it a go. Over the next couple of weeks, obviously, we'll touch on some of the other things that have been added. But in terms of the base agent configuration, I would imagine for those of you who are familiar with it, this is a significant change that you would see it made available.
So, Stuart, I think it was a pretty interesting section because we got quite a few questions about it.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah, so question number 1, is it now possible to select which groups in Windows devices get enrolled? I mentioned that before, all the devices just went to the home screen. And I think you can do this via QR code and the custom agent. Can you show that quickly?
You can, yeah, absolutely. So if you were creating obviously the QR code function, and that is obviously now supported within Windows, you would have the ability to be able to go and configure the agent or the path that it would be delivered to. The other is if you were using, and I touched on it briefly, the custom agent build.
Can you show it quickly, Stuart? Just so they see, because it's a little bit, it's interesting. I think if you're used to doing the same clicking path for enrollment, you wouldn't even think to change out of Android. So if you go to enrollment.
Perfect, yeah. Super.
Just add a new one.
Yeah. Perfect, and you will see we have the option now to be able to show for Windows. On Windows 10 and 11, obviously the dual enrollment takes place by itself, but let's do bits and bolts. And at this point in time, we now have the ability to be able to select the group, or as you would have been familiar with before, in order to be able to click on the add group to be able to create a new folder. Very similar UI as you would have been familiar with in some of the other Android, for example, QR code creation in terms of device naming and some of our expiry or maximum number of devices, and then the ability to be able to save and use this QR code for the deployment. And then just as the second one quickly, and I'll keep it short. I know we are almost over our time. Under your, and again, specifically available in our premium and enterprise versions of all license tiers, the ability to be able to create the custom SureMDM agent, obviously for Android or for Windows. And under the Windows environment, you have the possibility to be able to build this file, specify those parameters that we had previously mentioned, and define the group path. Obviously generate and download, and you will be given an exe that has your custom parameters and made available for you as you might need. Any others specifically on Windows, Arman?
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but they were trying. Somebody's asking to see that in this view that you're in, the custom SureMDM agent, is there a way to predefine the password, the enrollment password? So if you have set a enrollment rule, security enroll only with password, if you can say it's that when connecting to the MDM, not for the settings.
Yeah, got it. I'm actually not sure. I haven't attempted to add it. I've always used it as a separate password that needed to be completed at enrollment time. But we can park it if that's okay, and and come back with an answer. I'm sure by the end of today.
Perfect. Yeah, I believe maybe in advanced settings, if you're able to just fill out the entire code and put it in there, if that would work. Stuart, quick question. Is this,
Yes.
I know it says down here supported for SureMDM agent 4.3. Does this new custom generated agent for Windows, is it the new one that you were showing today, or is it still the old one?
The one that I've been showing on the device itself?
Yeah, so the one that you demoed earlier?
Yeah,
but
that was
the one that you're showing here in the console.
I've been showing version 6, and this particular what I would call custom agent build is available on version 6 as well. Ultimately, once you've clicked on generate and download, you would receive the latest version of the SureMDM agent for that particular operating system, with obviously your custom configuration.
Mm-hmm. And just a last little feedback. There was also quite some interest about the notification to request for remote support, but the feedback was also shared, and we will share this with the team, that you can make like a link and click and automatically filter or automatically find that device which needs it.
Absolutely. It's a need for a button. there has to be an action associated with that notification. I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, but we do have that link, that deep link, and even if it's just that deep link, you'd so quickly be able to find that device that you're looking for and jump right to it. But great questions, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And again, perhaps if you don't mind, I mean, as Simon and I have said a number of times, we really enjoy getting your feedback and really enjoy providing some feedback on those features and functions that perhaps you find you using more regularly. And so, please feel free to share those with us. It really helps with us putting together the content that we do share. A quick reminder before we close off, Prakash is going to be hosting a webinar on the 6th of May. If you haven't already received the invite directly, please make sure to use the QR code on the right-hand side of the screen. It will obviously be available in the video once it's uploaded at the same time. Or reach out to your account manager. We have the ability to be able to share that link with you. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. He's covering some nice topics and some things that I think again within my region are kind of leading edge in terms of our partners and where they want to go. And as always, questions, if you haven't already asked already, and if you haven't made note of Arman and my email address, our partner marketing team, specifically Gabby, is available on partnermarketing@42gears.com, and our tech support team available to you 24/7 on tech support at 42gears.com, and available obviously through a number of other methods as well, including the intercom, the web chats, email, telephone, and the like. So with that, I really again thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that what we've shared has been interesting and will help with some of the solutions that you look to deploy in the future. See you on the 14th of May. I was trying to quickly calculate the dates in my head, but thankfully Gabby's added her on to the last slide. So 2 weeks time, Wednesday, same time. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you all.
Good.